What is up? What is up? Can you guys hear me okay? Check 1, 2, check. Let's turn this up just a little bit. Sorry about that. So, I'm testing out Twitch with my new monitor. And at the same time, I am creating a story. It's actually kind of fun. So what I've started doing is doing some research into Star Wars. And that's a very broad statement. So what I mean by that is I came up with this idea to create a spiritual successor to Knights of the Old Republic. And what I want to do is, just for fun, this would be just a fun little project to put together. Wouldn't be really for a commercial release or anything like that. Just for my own entertainment of learning. But it would be a lot of fun to write a story and with that story basically turn it into a video game. So I've been looking at Unreal Engine 4 as the framework to run the game. I've been looking at other programs as well, like World Creator 2, Character Creator 3, and just different stuff like that. I went and downloaded a lot of different blueprints and assets from the Unreal Engine marketplace that are free. Megascans is basically like meshes and textures. So you can have, like, let's say for example, what they do is they go out and scan real life stuff. So if you wanted to use a specific oak tree, or at least they wanted to use a specific oak tree, they would go scan this entire tree, scan the bark, scan the branches, scan the leaves, everything about it, and then they'll upload this texture to their online marketplace. What's pretty cool is you can actually pay like a monthly subscription to their marketplace, and you get to download like a certain amount of meshes per month. I think it's like 50 meshes or 100 meshes, but it's really cool. So I've been looking into that. But overall, right now, just messing around with the kind of like the story, what I think I might want to do. So to give you an overview, is I've come up with this story that takes place before the start of Star Wars: The Old Republic. So if you're familiar with The Old Republic, it's about it starts right after 3651 BBY, which BBY stands for Battle Before Yavin, or I'm sorry, Before Battle of Yavin. And so Battle of Yavin took place in Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. So that's the way Wikipedia or these other websites like the Star Wars fandom site, the Wikipedia, that's how they track different timelines within the Star Wars universe, whether it be canon or Legends. And Legends is like everything that's non-canon. So there's a lot of non-canon lore and characters and planets out there, different storylines that aren't canon. So this is really just a story based on legend that would take place before Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is in 3645 or so. So 6 years after. So the story is about it's open world, focusing on the planet of Tython, which is the original homeworld of the Jedi. So that's what the storyline would be covering. So it's pretty cool. I did some looking into the different regions on Tython. So it's a planet a lot like Earth, same kind of gravity. Has a 31 hour day, 524 days in a year, the orbiting year. The global temperature is temperate, atmosphere is breathable, gravity is standard. So it's kind of like setting the basis for the game. So you have a planet that's like Earth. You have water. You have mountains, volcanoes, oceans, forests, deserts, everything. So there are a lot of different varying terrain types, which I'm pretty excited about. It'll be really cool to test out everything. Ice caps, so I'm going to have a meridional. I have trouble pronouncing this. Meridional ice cap. I think that's it. Meridional. So what I've done, what you see on the left side here is, what I did was go and read within the Wikipedia the different types of continents and their locations and their locale to each other, their proximity. I could not find an entire map of Tython, so I'm basically having to create it on my own, even though there is written word of their locations. They're not necessarily put to a picture, so I'm kind of having to put a pretty cruel picture together to just give me an idea of what's going on. But yeah, so this is what I'm doing right now. I'm just with this Tython backstory. It talks about the Jedi, which is the ancestors to the Jedi. If you're familiar with the Jedi, I'm sorry, the Jedi. So the Jedi were basically pilgrims. That's how they started out. So back in 36,453, the Jedi were all spread across the universe. Different homeworlds, different species, and the species varied quite a bit actually. So it was Selkath, Wookiees, Sith purebloods, Dathomiri, Twi'leks, humans, Cathar, Zabrak, a bunch of different kinds of people. And so what happened was there were these things called Thoyor. Let me see if I can search for this and show you guys what a Thoyor is. But basically, it's a huge temple, or a huge kind of like ancient pyramid. If you played Knights of the Old Republic, it looks like the Skyforge, basically. So this is what it looks like. Let me pull this up and make it larger so you can see it. So this is what it looks like. It's like this huge pyramid-looking structure. And so a lot of these ideas are actually created by comic book artists. So there's a comic book series called Dawn of the Jedi, and it talks about the Thoyor and the pilgrims that were on it. So the premise is that these were spread all across the galaxy, right? There were 8 of them, all spread out across the galaxy. So one in particular was on the Daibendu, if you've heard Daibendu monks, which is the philosophy that a lot of the Jedi principles are based on, is the Order of Daibendu on the planet of Ando Prime. So the premise is that one of these was on Ando Prime, and what happened was the Thoyor temple, or Thoyor structure itself, called out to every force-sensitive person on that planet. And so the midichlorians, in a response within the Daibendu people, it called out to them within their bodies, so they responded to the call. And so they all went on to, they basically just stopped what they're doing and went on to this Thoyor pyramid structure inside it. And then so from there, it would travel from homeworld to homeworld. So after that point, it was it was stuck on Ando Prime, sat there for years, and the Daibendu would actually kind of study it and worship it, possibly. I don't know if they actually worshipped it, but they were curious about its nature and would try to study and figure out what it is. And then it was all of a sudden, one day it woke up and called out to them or something. And so they hopped onto the Thoyor, and then the Thoyor went and traveled to different planets. So it went to, there was one on the Selkath planet, Manon. There was one on Kashyyyk. They were all spread out across a galaxy, and there were 8 of them. And so once they left the planet that they were stuck on, taking whichever population that was there, they would go from that planet to another planet until they had quite a few different species, each calling out to force-sensitive people within those species. And then from there, they all 8 Thoyor arrived on Tython. And they all gathered around. Let me see if I can find it here. There's a specific location that they arrived to. Where is it at? Is it Aharkesh? What's the name? It's a Temple of Balance. Aharkesh, that's what it is. So what happened was these 8 Thoyor traveled from across the galaxy back to Tython, and they all lined up around this larger 9th Thoyor. And this Thoyor was above like a huge monolith that had 8 streams coming out of it. I'm sorry, 8 rivers. And so with that, the after all the Thoyor had arrived, they basically kind of circle this 9th Thoyor until all 8 were there. And then once all 8 were there, they all dispersed across the planet. And so and they refer to them as pilgrims, these people within these Thoyor. So the people ended up creating these temples around each Thoyor, where they would go and study, and they created the Jedi Order. And so each Thoyor had a temple by it. Aharkesh was the reference as the Temple of Balance. And so each temple had its own specific studying focus. So you'd have your Temple of Martial Arts, your Temple of Force Skills, Temple of Science, Arts, Healing, Knowledge, and the Forge. And then you had the Jedi Academy, which is where Padawans would go. They would start training, and then they would travel to each other temple to grow in their training. And then when they were all done, they would come back to the Jedi Academy at Padawan Kesh. So yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. The kind of lore that people have actually created for this planet. So right now I'm in the process of just trying to iron out what the layouts look like of the actual planet. And then what I wanted to do is start actually designing it. So you know how people create maps, so like the Middle Earth map. You know, it looks like this. If you've ever seen the map of Middle Earth, it should pull up, right? Come on. Okay, so it's like this kind of, you know, you draw your mountains, and let me open image in a new tab. If you guys can see that. So you know how they drew mountains, and they drew the locations, like Gondor. They drew the rivers and stuff. This is actually what I would like to do for this, is go into Photoshop and actually draw something out. So you have your different continents, which these squares right now are continents. These are the names of the continents. The Moon Channel is actually a body of water that separates the Cato, Zakur, and Taos. And then within the Moon Channel, you have 7 islands called the Moon Islands. So I haven't seen any drawings that would suggest what these continents look like. So I guess it's kind of up to interpretation and free creative thinking. So I'm probably just going to design them how I want and what makes sense according to what people have provided within the Wikipedia. And apparently, like, these continents are huge, like 3,200 kilometers wide, and the Therian Ocean is 800 kilometers from Massaro to Thur. 800 kilometer distance. Like, what is it? Like, that's a long ways. So it's, almost 500 miles. So what I'm looking to do is create these continents. What I'm assuming is I would have to create each of them within, if I can spell right, Unreal Engine 4. So if you can see my computer here, working on building this. So once it's done, I'm actually going to start designing stuff in Unreal Engine, because Unreal Engine is free. So it's gonna be pretty fun. It's gonna be a learning experience. I'm really just doing this for fun, my free time. What's great is there's like a lot of online learning material. Unreal Engine provides their own education section, and then like obviously YouTube is very saturated with Unreal Engine content that people create from scratch. So pretty excited about it. So I've been figuring out how I want it to start. I was actually thinking about this last night. So the Tython system actually has, has a star called Tythos. Go figure, right? That's the main star in the system of Tython, the Tython system. And then it has 11 planets within the Tython system. And Tython is the 5th from the sun. And so right next to Tython is a planet called, let's see if I can pronounce it correctly. It's like Shaharka or something similar to that. And it is supposedly the I think it's called the gem of Tython system. I'm trying to pull up the entire system. We can go to check out the planets. Come on. Tython system. Okay, yeah, so right. Oh, no. Calamar. Calamar is the, what is it they call it? It's a specific, Calamar. Shikakwa. It reminds me of Ace Ventura. Shikaka. The Jewel of Tython. So not the gem, it's the Jewel of Tython. So, what I would like to do, so I'm just going to actually create a section here called Maps to Design, or maybe main areas to design, something like that. I think that'll work. That should be it's not doing it there. That's fine. So it's going to be Taos and Cato, Zakar, Thur, Masara. I'm also going to do the deep ocean, the moon channel, meridional, I think that's how you say it, ice cap, and then do a design for Calamar. So my idea is to actually start the game out on Calamar, and you end up traveling to Tython. Oh crap, I didn't mean to click that. But anyway, so I think for the purposes of this video game, like me being ambitious was thinking, oh, you know, I could create an entire planet where someone could actually, you know, something like Star Citizen, where someone could, you know, be in space and fly down to a different continent, and they could fly across the continent, across the, let's say, for example, the Therian Ocean to Thur, and, you know, create like this very immersive traveling feeling, like you would with like No Man's Sky or something. But when you start to think about it, like No Man's Sky, that planet, the procedural planets are very poor quality and detail, and I just don't know if it's feasible to create an entire planet when you're only occupying, you know, let's say just right now 7 different sections of the planet. Like there might be even more continents that I might end up creating, so it just doesn't make sense to create an entire planet just to occupy seven things on it. Which, I mean, granted, like Taos is the largest continent, it's very huge, but at the same time, the design, like I want it to look good, and the design work necessary to get an entire planet with the different regions within each continent, like it would be as serious undertaking for one individual. Like I was watching a documentary on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and it's actually an hour and a half long documentary on YouTube. But the artist for BD8, I think that's, yeah, BD8, right? BD8, or no, BD1. BD1, this little 2-legged droid on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The lady said she took 3 years. It took her 3 years to get BD1 completely designed. Like, can you imagine just spending 3 years working on this one character? Like, so taking that for a grain of salt, I mean, I don't want to spend 3 years. No, like I understand, like this will take time, especially like if I'm gonna be new to Unreal Engine, so I won't know what I'm doing. But you know, it's gonna be one of those things. But anyway, so those are my plans. I'm actually pretty excited about it. So what I want to do, just to kind of introduce you all to the backstory leading up to this, and I've actually I've cataloged it here from Wikipedia. I'm going to go ahead and close that because it's kind of slowing down my system. But, so Tython's backstory, 5th planet in orbit. The planet itself is a place that is what's considered like a force nexus, and the force is really strong within the planet of Tython, such that if there was an imbalance in the force on the planet, the actual planet itself would stir up like force storms and earthquakes and stuff. So you'd have like these different thunderstorms, earthquakes, lightning storms, rainstorms, anything you can think of, tornadoes, whatever. So it would actually create reactions within the planet itself, which I think could be pretty interesting in a game. Although I don't want it to be like Just Cause 4, where there's like a random tornado going down the road, and you're like trying to fly around it with like a parachute or something. I've never played Just Cause 4, but I've seen trailers for it. But anyway, so 100,000 BBY, Battle Before Yavin, or Before Battle of Yavin. Dear Lord, let me fix that. Before Battle of Yavin. So there was supposedly a large species that lived on Tython, and they constructed this old city that's based in, where was that located? The Red Desert on Taos. So Taos has a place called the Red Desert, and that's where the old city is located. The doorways, like for example, the most average doorway is probably 6'6", maybe 7 feet tall, something like that, right? I'm looking at my door, so that's why I'm looking this way. So like our average doorway is 7 feet tall, I would assume. I don't have a measuring tape, so I don't know. I've never really bought doors, so I couldn't tell you. The size of the old city was actually 3 times what humans constructed themselves. So if we're, going through 7 foot tall doorways, the doorways in the old city would be about 21 feet tall because these individuals were so large. And I kind of just made assumptions here as I progress forward, but supposedly sometime in between this and 36453, there was a species called the Gree that were said to achieve interstellar travel, and so they visited Tython pretty early within the history. And by that time, this species was gone, and the Gree inhabited the old city. So it was like long abandoned, and the Gree inhabited it. And they constructed, so there's rumors that the Gree constructed what's called a hypergate. It's basically a way to travel instantaneously between 2 points in space. And then, for some reason, they eventually left. I'm not sure why yet. I want to flesh that out. And then, sometime after, another species called the Qua, they created what's called an infinity gate. So it's pretty similar to a hypergate, and the ability to transport, from one side of the galaxy to the other, essentially. So the Qua ended up encountering the Rakata species. If you remember the Rakata, they were the evil species within KOTOR 1 that Revan comes in contact with, and that's who gives him the power to go to the Star Forge and all that stuff. So they end up creating what's called the Infinite Empire. And so through that, they come to try to take over the Infinity Gates so they could more so establish the Infinite Empire. And the Qual ended up destroying their Infinity Gates, so the Rakata couldn't use them. And so the few remaining Qual on Tython eventually died out after destroying their Infinity Gate. And the Rakata, I think some species of the Rakata ended up like de-evolutionizing, or went through a de-evolutionary process, and they ended up becoming what's called Flesh Raiders, which if you play the Old Republic, the MMO RPG, I believe Flesh Raiders are mentioned on there. I haven't played in a long time, and I'm actually wanting to start playing the Old Republic once this is built, which I'm hoping by next month. It'd be great. So from 70,000 to 36,000. As far as I know, there isn't a whole lot that's happened. They've had like different species come and go. They end up leaving or dying out. And then 36,453 is when the Thoyor pilgrims end up showing up on Tython, and they started establishing the Jedi Order and building their temples near each Thoyor. Then 25,783. Basically, what happened was the entire premise of the Jedi Order was actually based on balance, so managing the good and the bad at the same time. Whereas, like, the Jedi only, modern Jedi philosophy is based on only doing good, having no attachment, and the Sith are the complete opposite. So, like, where, passion and anger and hate, like, you swing one way or the other, right? You're never in between. Well, the Jedi were based on staying in between and not leaning one side or the other. And so in 25,783, basically people started taking sides of philosophy, saying good is good. People should be on the light side of the Force versus people who should be, shouldn't be afraid of the dark side of the Force, so on and so forth. And so what they came up with is Ashla philosophy. Ashla and Bogan are the two moons of Tython. And so they came up with these schools of thought that represented each moon. Ashla was a light-colored moon, and Bogan was like a really dark red-colored moon. That was at Tython. These two surrounded Tython. And so basically there was a war that broke out in between their philosophies and their disagreements. And they ended up having like a falling out. And so what they found out was that if they found that you were focused too much on one side, they would send you to a specific planet. So if you focused on too much of the light side of the Force while on Tython, they would send you to Bogan to focus more on the dark side and even yourself out because of the imbalances of Tython itself. Like, if you become imbalanced, there's a lot of imbalance on Tython, the Force storms happen. And so after that point, because of the imbalances in people and more Force storms occurred, the non-Force sensitive children of the Jedi were it got so dangerous for them that they had to end up leaving and populating the other planets of the Tython system. So, like, Kalamar was a planet that was populated. Shikaka, whatever that name is called, that planet, like, they started populating the rest of the system. So, And at that point, so like the Jedi ended up forming into the Jedi at that point in 25,783 after the Force Wars. And that's what it became known as. And so from that point, the Jedi started spreading across the galaxy. They ended up making Coruscant their main temple location for the Jedi. They got really involved with the Republic and becoming Guardians of the Republic. And the Sith traveled to like Korriban and Dathomir, and different other, Exegol if you're a Rise of Skywalker individual. So essentially, like the Sith, that they ended up just leaving and going and growing on different planets that were strong in the dark side energy. And then eventually, what happened was the hyperlanes to Tython ended up like becoming lost or unstable. So I guess when it comes to hyperspace technology, different variations within the galaxy can cause hyperlanes to become unstable. So I don't know if you have like asteroid belts that go through it or gases that create like very dangerous conditions that when you're traveling through it, it could be like dangerous for you. So it's kind of an interesting topic to think about. But so the hyperlanes got really unstable, and so Tython kind of fell off the map. And then in about 4,000 BBY, I'm sorry, let me back up. Before that, the Sith were doing experiments on Tython, and they ended up releasing Terran Tactics on Tython. And so the Jedi created this event called the Great Hunt, where they went and for like 3 years went to Terran Tactic and just destroyed all the evil Sith experiments. Which Terran Tactics, if they're on like Korriban and places like that where there's a lot of dark side energy. And so let's see, that was around, I think that was right before Revan. And then like shortly after Revan and Bastila they end up like, doing the whole thing with Knights of the Republic. And then KOTOR 2 is just right after that. And then so essentially, 300 years later, that's about where Star Wars The Old Republic picks up. And you're if you do the Jedi Consular or Jedi route, you actually start on Tython at a constructed Jedi temple that's nearby one of the let's see, which one is it? It's in the Tythos Ridge. Calith. So Calith is a temple on knowledge. So that's the old Jedi temple that was built by the Thoyor. What ended up happening was the Jedi in 3650 through 47, they built a new structure, a new Jedi temple that was near the temple, the Calith temple. And so when you start the Republic as a Jedi, you actually start at the Jedi temple near Calith in the Tythos Ridge. And that's where you start your journey. So this whole video game that I'm writing would actually take place before that, about 6 years or so. So that's kind of the backstory. But should be a lot of fun. I'm gonna grab some water real quick. Right. Sorry about that. If you hear storms, it's been storming all day. So I guess what I could do now is hold on one second. My Discord wasn't wanting to work, so I just closed it. Let me check something. Excuse me. Alright, so I think what I want to do now is maybe start designing this stuff. So I'm going to close this document. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. So we have more room to work with on Photoshop. I wonder if I play some music, if you guys, I don't know if you guys can hear that, if I play music. I can try. Is anyone watching? Hello? So I'm looking at my screen to see if I can figure out how to audio output capture. Is that it? That's not it. Media source. Input. What is that? Trying to figure out how to get a Spotify working on here. This is on the Mac OBS, and I don't know if it catches correctly the sound. I don't think this is what I want. If I go to preferences, and audio, so like my desktop audio devices are disabled for some reason, and I'm not certain why. It kind of frustrates me. I'm gonna do this. Do that. All right, cool. All right, so now, let's let me scooch this over if I can. Can I? Just want to scoot over a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so now I think what we do is do a new file. We utilize the same size, but we just kind of brainstorm. So Taos is the largest. Let me see. I wonder if there's like a random continent map generator. It's perfect. I don't know why that keeps getting reset, but that's fine. So if I try to do this, so like that's kind of like what I would want to go for. Like that's pretty cool. And then you could even brainstorm further and do something like that. Like that's kind of cool. Interesting. So if you just did random map, these are actually kind of cool. But you can tell like it's just like weird shapes. I actually like the look of that. That's pretty good. Change map size. So if you did 20 by 20, Oh wait, that's too large for, if we did 10 by 10. So if we did that, random. Some of these look kind of stupid. It's actually not bad. We can consider it. So I'm just gonna grab this. Just gonna screenshot it. And we're gonna just paste it in here. Grab some other. Just funny looking. So if we think about this, might be towels. And then we can look for maybe this one. Maybe this is Kato, Secure. This is really just like starting to think about maps and stuff. I like that. I'll grab this one. You know what? I mean, if there's like a you know what? That's how do I hide toggle grid? Ah, perfect. Dadgummit, that's what I should have done for those. It's alright, I'll go ahead and grab this one. I like the idea of a long continent. Dang it. And it keeps resetting the, where's it at? I just turned it off. Toggle grid. I do like the idea of a longer continent. So like if I flipped this, inverted it, and made this, or maybe this is, Kato's occur right there. Maybe if we did, so Taos is supposed to be the largest one. If we did 300, no, not that large. 175. Oh gosh, 175. We'll do 200. 220. All right, so we'll do that. We'll place it about right here. I think I want to find something to replace that. I'm going to flip this layer, new, layer style, adjustment layer. What am I looking for? Arrange. No? I think I'll try to stick that one over here. I think what we'll try to do is curve it around. So if we did, oh crap, don't do that. Try to curve it around, something like that. That would actually make sense. So the way it works is Thur is the Thur Ocean is on the northwest side of Masara. So if we place Masara right here, and we do something like that. Alright, yeah, we're going to find a different one. We're going to find a different one for that. Let me do this. There we go. Oh, that screwed it up. That's fine. It's not bad. This big one right here. These are so ridiculous. I really don't know how to use this. If I do that, and then sides, can I just do a reset piece? Okay, yeah. There we go. That doesn't work. So it goes up higher over here and halfway over here. So if we do that, that works. Oh, dadgummit. Can I undo that? Okay. All right. So I'm going to grab this. I like this. Oh, crap. Okay, there we go. I wonder if we can find a better continent than this. Actually, this isn't a bad idea. So you have your... Looks like a snake. Oh, goodness. Some of these are just like atrocious. Give me 1 second. It's interesting. Structures and trees. It's kind of cool. So if you actually wanted to make like a super huge map, you could. This is chaotic. they don't make it easy for you to like reset pieces. Like you should just be able to like enable draggable pieces, delete draggable. I wonder if there's some different tools. Content description. I mean, what does it put out? That's actually pretty good. Complete with within a polar region. I think that's actually a lot better than these. So, bye. Can I grab this image? Copy. So if this has a polar region, I like that idea. Like the top of the planet. Generate. So if we did that, copy. Something like that, maybe. This can be, let's do what a. Let me go into this. I'm actually going to do this. Okay, I'm going to make it look like it actually, like, you know, over time came out of this. And these are just more like ideas, like it's not set in stone, right? Now I'm looking for a bit more variation. Because it seems like these are like blocks. This place is called yes. Copy. We'll use this as a placeholder for now. So in here, I think that's where I'll actually put the moon channel. Or we can even put it higher up. Excuse me. My dog is barking at me. So what if we did bring this higher up? I'm actually going to do something for now. I'm going to erase this layer, this little island thing right here. I'm going to erase these two things. And what I'll do is I'll create the moon channel in there. So it's not bad. I definitely like this tool a lot better. Okay, so this is a polar ice cap. We need the so this is the meridional, if I can say that right, goodness. Actually, gonna make this larger. I actually like that little island. I'm gonna copy this and I need like a longer island here. I need some variation. So I'm gonna grab I'll get something here in a bit. Thank you. (119 active volcanoes. Goodness. Just getting it. Tiny. Alright, so what if we do bring this down, bring this down, bring that down. So it's great at creating square blobs, but there's like very little variance from that. Like it has like 4 corners generally. 4 corners. 4 corners. It's kind of annoying actually. Ricky Yudi. Ricky Bobby. I just need like some kind of variation. I wish I could tell it what I'm looking for. Yeah, but who wants to look at the same picture over and over again though? It's kind of what I'm looking for. So what if I did, what if I copy this, paste it, and try to like, I just got rid of this little doohickey, this nub. Let's Made it pretty long. Yeah, I like that idea. So I'm just going to do just get like a pencil and draw it. Get out of here. Okay, there's that. Then we'll get rid of this. And we're going to actually make this one larger. Let's go 150. Maybe not that high. 125. How did I have that fitting? Okay, so how about this? We rotate it. Something like that. Let me move this one up. We'll do that. I like the idea of like these were like at one point connected, that was at one point connected. Alright, so I just need to grab a pencil or something. Actually, what I can do is let me do this. Let me do a stamp, clone stamp. And let me get a new layer. Can I do that? So if I do this, Do that. And then now I can rotate it, right? And then get another layer and stamp and go larger. Hardness 100%. Size, that's what I should have done for this one. I just redo that one. Let me do it for this. What's going on here? Did it work? There it goes. Okay. So there's that. And then I'll see if I can like have it curve back into that. So I'm gonna grab and go pretty large here. Do something like this and go to that layer. Maybe do something like that. Oh, I need a new layer. So it doesn't alter that one. That'll work. Cool. I like it. Looks a lot better than that one generator we were using. It does look kind of cluttered though, I think. So maybe if we did something like this. We'll scooch this back over though. Because technically, like, this is supposed to be pretty close. What we'll do is we'll just go and grab islands and stuff. You just plop them everywhere. do. Oh wait, no. I want to keep that. Okay. Actually, I do kind of like this one. I like the idea of the two peninsulas. But it's all good. I don't think I'll use that one. Actually, I don't think I need to worry about like super small stuff. So I think we'll just stick with that for now. I'm actually going to increase my canvas size to match the 4000. Because I feel like I don't have a whole lot of space. I'm going to merge these layers. Okay. I mean, this needs to be farther up. Just going to tilt this maybe a little bit so it's more like that. That feels better. That feels natural. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shave off this right here. Oh crap, I didn't want to do that. I need to reduce this. New layer. Let's reduce this. And do that. Hold on. Am I selecting the right one? Yeah, I think it's layer 4. So if we did something like that. Actually, I really just need something about half that size. That'll work. So the kind of feels like it fits into that. I'll leave that for now. Oh man. So I think this is our main map. It's actually not a bad start. This was definitely a lot more help than that other one. All the weird angles and shapes and stuff. Feels pretty good. Make it look like they actually, like, at one point were all like Pangea, like the entire continent, all the continents were together and they spread apart. Alright, so I'm liking where this is going. I'm probably just going to go through here and label them now. So if I did I need to figure out if I want to put anything down here. I might place another one or two over here. Let's see. Feels pretty good. I'll put this towards the corner. And from there, let me see. I think we might leave this open down here. Actually, I'm going to put this little island. Well, let me see if I can get it at a different island. I might grab this one right here. Oh wait, we already have that. See if we can. Let's do this one. Let's see how we can fit this in here. See, like if we did something like that, maybe. I don't know, it looks like it's like hands opening up or something. Not a fan of this one. My dogs are barking. So if we did that, get rid of the white. I actually like this. Okay. I think I might put in some sort of island out here. I think would be good. Ow! That didn't feel good. Oh, I just rocked my elbow on my computer case. Oh man, that was no bueno. It was not good. This could work. So if we just put this up in the corner. You make it smaller too. Trying to see which way it looks good. Because I don't want to look boxy. Oh. Okay. Now let's you know what we'll do is we're gonna let's grab a kind of something circular. Yeah, that looks pretty icy. So we're going to grab this one. And now what we're going to do is increase our canvas size even more. We're going to do 5,000. No wait, 6,000 by 5,000. So and then we can spread this stuff out even more. That way it'll feel more like an actual world. Maybe 8,000. And spread this stuff out. That way we don't feel like, because if you think about it, this is going to be circular, right? So if we try to play it like it's a in a full-size planet. I wonder how I can make layer from background. I wonder how I can make this 3D. Spherical I've never actually done 3D stuff in Photoshop. Oh wait, crap. I need to switch to the 3D workspace. My wife is watching Law & Order. Okay, so this has now been converted to a... my computer's running slow right now. So now that it is a 3D layer, oh, I mean to create two tabs. 3D sphere, Photoshop. So three-dimensional images, go to Edit, Preferences, Performance, make sure you use Graphics Processor. It's checked. I think it is. You can just check. Yeah, it's checked. 3D. Okay. When a 3D object is created, the image from the layer under the 3D layer will be wrapped around the object. In order to keep the background image intact, I've created a vector rectangle over the entire image with film stroke set to none. Now we'll create an empty layer above it. Mesh preset, new mesh from layer. So if we do new mesh from layer, mesh preset sphere, yes. It's like it's still loading. It doesn't like the, oh, there it is. Nice. Okay, so if I do, geez, this is a lot of processing. It's definitely intensive on my video card, which by the way is trash. That's why I'm building a new computer. The 3D axis tool will arrange so maybe what needs to happen now is, we'll turn off shadows, that should help out. Shadows are intensive on my GPU, it's pretty bad. .3D. Okay, so I'm actually going to delete this layer. Just start over, Because I think what I'll need to do is end up baking everything. And put this back up here. Image, let me see here. Man, that like screwed up all of my, there we go. Yeah, a lot of my toolbar settings changed now. Workspace, essentials. Paint bucket. Okay. So I think what I'll need to do is utilize this and merge it all and then combine it to a sphere and see what happens. So I'm going to set this over here. This is going over here. This is more just like for design purposes. So if I, or I don't even need to design on a sphere. What if I just did this? So like, that's the S cap, right? I got the wrong layer. Grab this one. And drag this down. Now we're going to increase the size of these two. Okay. So now if we go back, what if we can find like a so I have an idea. What if we did like basically like, oh crap, put this on top. So what if we did something like increase the size of this 150, maybe not that big, reduce it back 80, and then drop do this. And actually reduce this. Something like that could be kind of cool. Crap. I just need to do a background from layer. Wait, quit grabbing it. Now it's locked. I mean, Talos is supposed to be pretty huge. What if we did something like that? Now, space this out a little bit. Give this some space. So oh, you know what? I wonder if we're just gonna flatten merge visible. So now layer from background, and we can try to do a mesh from layer, depth map to sphere, maybe? I don't know, I'm just trying stuff on the fly. Pretty satisfied with this. Okay, it kind of fits, it feels like stuff fits together. I'm just curious what it would look like on a 3D sphere. It's taking a long time. It's a huge image though, 8,000 by 6,000. So I don't blame it for taking a long time. Oh, look at that. Okay. This is actually really cool. Okay, I need this to stop. Okay, what if I just grab this? This is dope. I need to turn off, I can turn off shadows, right? I'll turn off shadows once this is done. This is really cool though. So it actually created a depth map. Depth map based on the lines. That's awesome. I'm glad I did that. Just makes it look cool. Okay, so I'm going to turn off shadows and see what that looks like. Because I don't need it to cast shadows, and I don't need it to catch shadows. Goodness. Okay, so, and now I can, gosh. Just thinking about it. Okay. Can't move my mouse without it freaking out. Okay, now it's not casting shadows. Let's try not to. I bet the depth map kind of like scared it. That's causing issues. I do like it though, it's kind of like defined it. Goodness, man. I just want to look. Hopefully this doesn't crash. I haven't saved this. And I'm going to be upset. Oh, you know what? I didn't save this. You know what? I'm upset. I can't believe I didn't save. Go back. Go back. Okay. Good. So I can go back further. This is too intensive for it. My computer is not built for, obviously, 3D development. Okay, so it's still loading. Okay, so then go back and save it. I really don't need to I don't want to do anything until I save it. Okay, and where's that? And then take me back. Take me back. Take me back. Yes, okay. Cool. Okay, so now we're gonna save it. I would have been very upset had that crashed while we're doing stuff. Okay, so this is Star Wars. Oh, by the way, I'm calling this Star Wars Journeyer in reference to the journey that the Jedi Padawans would undergo or partake in or pursue. So like starting from Padawan Kesh to the other Jedi temples and studying was referenced as the Great Journey. And so you're called a journeyer if you were doing the Great Journey. And then once you got done, you were called a ranger once you graduated. Continents. I wonder how large this file is. 54 megabytes, jeez. Well, it is 8,000 by 5,000. So, you know what? I bet if we... How about this? We're going to try something. So I'm going to export this into a smaller PNG file. And then I wonder if it will... so let's say 25%. I mean, 2,000 by 1250 is still pretty good. It's still trying to process it. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to export it and then we're going to import it. Or we can open it in a new file. We'll just try to mess with it there. Because I think the issue is we're using such a big file to put into a sphere. And so because the file is so huge, it's creating issues. So I wonder if we just did a regular mesh preset in its sphere without the depth map. Because the depth map is creating shadows, right? So if we just put it onto a regular sphere, shouldn't be too bad, right? Okay, so nice. So there's Taos. Some void. I mean, I can probably just put randomness over here, but it's fine. But cool. Scene. Oh, scene is the custom depth map. Oh, okay, so if I do just default, and then I go to the lines, and I change these to depth map here, change it to solid, and then on the lines I should be able to do depth map? No? Maybe not. Points, shadows. Nonetheless, it's still pretty cool. So I could probably like paint this, right? If I like painted like the white areas. Let me see, let me find. I was hoping to painting. No, I don't want that. Close tab. Close. Close this too. Okay. Paint bucket. So it should paint all of the areas. The easiest thing to do would just be to go back into oh, you know what? I created a PNG. If I did a JPEG, it'd probably respond differently. because a PNG holds transparency. Let me try something. Let me just restart. Just don't save. So I could technically paint this, right? But I'm going to do flatten image, and so then it should get rid of all of the transparency. And then you do mesh preset sphere. Yes. Oh, snap. I didn't reopen the PNG file. I opened up the PSD file. Dang it. Okay, go back. Go back. Go back. Go back again. Okay. I want to make sure I still have access to all those. Save. Open. PNG. So I'm going to open the PNG file and flatten it, because that should get rid of all the transparency within it. And then that's when you go into mesh from layer, sphere. And then so after that it should paint the white parts around. So we're going to try it. Window. Brushes. It needs to be just paint bucket. But let me go to essentials. Okay, there we go. So now if I do that, does it work? Oh, it's still doing that. I guess the easiest way around it would just be to just paint it here. No? So if I did converted smart layer, it's still going to do that. Let me go back. Don't save. Convert it to, I need to rasterize it, I think. No. Tolerance, 100. Anti-alias. Contiguous. There we go. It's pretty much what I wanted. But anyway, alright, well, that is it for me tonight. I've been on here for almost 3 hours. So, appreciate you guys hopping on with me. And I'm going to, next time I'm going to start drawing in the cities and regions and stuff. I think this is a pretty good start. It's actually pretty enjoyable. I like doing this kind of stuff. um, even more so recently. So, anyway, we'll see you guys on the next video.